What's up, guys? This is Wenzes. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about creating an epic life on your terms. Today we're talking about how to stay laser focused on improving your life. You voted for this topic, so I'm really excited about it because it's something that's really dear to my heart. I managed a lot of things when it comes to this because I used to be somebody who always did the bare minimum, and I felt that. That's the biggest problem. Like, I don't think it's a bad thing to be a hedonist, to be a romantic, or like a chillpreneur. Whatever you want to do, that you kind of do the most efficient way possible so you get there the fastest without doing a lot of things that are not necessary in order to get there. That's not a bad strategy, but what is when we know we're not doing what we could be doing. We know that there's something missing. We know that we don't move forward, that we stay stuck at our current state, and it's really hard to get out of there. But I have really found some ways to get there because I made a point to figure out, because I want to be the most efficient. I don't want to be going the hard way over and over again. I want to find out what the core of this is. And I actually did that. Now when people approach me, they always say, oh, you're so consistent, you actually put this together, your life like looks exactly how you want it to. And it didn't used to be like this. So you can learn it, you can become that person. And the best thing about it is it's not difficult because you become that version of yourself for whom this is normal. So today we're going to talk about the strategies that I've used over the years, that I've perfected for myself, and that you can apply in your life and become super focused on improving your life while having fun at it, while this becomes your new normal, and without having it to be a chore, something that you have to put willpower behind it, or something that you just dread. If you like this video, like always, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, and follow me on Instagram to stay up to date with the news around this channel. So there are a couple of points that I looked into that made a huge difference in my life. The first one is that I always heard people talk about successful people as in they work so much. That's the hardest working person I know. And I really disliked that because I knew that at my core, I'm not a workaholic. I'm not a person who wants to be doing all the time. And I still wanted to achieve something in my life. I knew that there's potential in me that I have to tap into. And I didn't want it to be that I wake up every day and then force myself to do something so I feel good about myself. I wanted it to be in flow. And what I figured out is that there are a lot of successful people who are B-type personalities, people who actually found the easier way out. But that does not mean that you actually are not being productive. That does not mean that you're not being laser focused on improving your life. It actually means that you have trained your mind so much that it only sees those things. It only sees the things that can improve your life. You don't dread anything because you're actually thinking and believing that you're that person you want to be, and therefore you actively do those things as a necessity in order to feel good about yourself. If you love your friends, then calling them and having a connection with them and staying in touch with them is not dreadful. It's something that you actively do because it makes you feel better every time. So this is what we get to understand about this whole process, how we get to adapt, so we actually get attracted to who we want to be, what we want to achieve, and so none of this becomes a chore. See, in the end, it comes down to this. We have only a finite amount of energy. At some point, let's say in your early 20s, of course, you have much more energy than in your late 50s, but in general, you always have a certain amount of energy. You can improve it somehow, through good nutrition or sleeping well, but in the end, it's finite. It's not gonna become more and more. You can't give of your energy and think that there's always gonna be more to give if you drain yourself. That's why we always say, really give when your cup is overflowing. Give to yourself first, create an environment, create interactions, create habits that fuel your own energy system, that don't drain that. And when you have stuff over, when you have energy that runs over, you love to give. And you've been in situations like this where you're just so full of yourself in a positive way that you're just kind, you're really proactive, you're excited, you're energized, and you're ready to go and create more for your life. Because we as human beings really want to grow. That's really part of our DNA. That's how nature works. Every flower blossoms, like every tree, they have leaves and all of that. Like, nature in itself is growing, developing, and wants to become more of what it is. That's like ingrained in us, and that's why we always feel that there is this thing that wants us to grow. But the problem with this is that there's so much going on that actually takes hold of our energy. So we don't have any energy, first off, to like put it somewhere where it can generate more and more energy for ourselves. And second of all, we don't even see that because we're so overwhelmed by the energy that's currently happening. So you can imagine it as if you had a net that kind of like pulls you down, and it pulls you down to your current floor. That's your current energy realm, or let's say your reality paradigm. That's what you live in. And that consists of all the media you consume, that consists of all the friends you hang out with, the job you do, the place you live in, and the list goes on and on. So your current habits, whatever you do on a daily basis, and it's so much more than what you're aware of. So this is like typical iceberg situation where you're aware of like only the tip of the iceberg, that's like maybe 3 or 5%, and most of it is below the surface. And this happens at every level in your life. It doesn't mean that when you're unhappy, this happens. When you feel like you're out of control and out of sync, this happens. But when you're in sync, it's differently. It always is like this because 95% or even more of our daily like challenges, of our daily choices are on autopilot. Our habits determine who we are. It's not really our conscious mind. So we have to really change those habits, and we have to do it gradually. And we have to understand that if you put too much on your plate, it will never ever work out. And the goal here is to change your belief system, because it really doesn't matter what your wishes are, what your goals are. The thing that we do the most is what we believe. If we believe we deserve to be successful at a certain level, or we deserve to have friends at a certain level, then we will do the things that will prove to us that we are right, because this is what our mind wants. Our mind will do everything to prove to us that we are right. If we believe that we don't deserve anything, then we will go out of our way to prove to our mind that we are right. That's just how our mind works. And once you understand this can be a huge catalyst in changing your approach to this whole topic, to say, well, let me just change my paradigm. Let me find a way where I can actually trick my mind and become the person for whom this is normal, for the person who wants to live the life I actually dream about, who believes that this is who you're meant to be and who you are deep inside, because then everything else kind of like shifts and proves to yourself that you're right. And at the same time, to remove those distractions that keep us at our current energy realm, that net that we're talking about. So this is what we're going to talk about today: how to first off change your mind into becoming the person who believes that you actually are the person you want to be. So on a subconscious level, so what kind of like shifts in your mind have to happen, how you can do it on a daily basis and without knowing really becoming that person, and at the same time removing those distractions that keep us at this place. Because what most people underestimate is that yes, living the life you want to live and living in sync and in alignment with who you want to be is actually much easier. You can do so much more because you generate energy, like an energy surplus, and that energy helps you to actually do more. You get excited about more. That's how like Beyonce is able to do so much. At some point you recognize, oh, have I actually really been doing this out of like alignment and because it feels so good, or has it been because I was, punishing myself? That is the other extreme, but we're actually talking about becoming somebody who does it even a little bit more laid back, to actually be in a realm where everything is connected in a way that helps you to become the person you want to be. So, but this can only happen if we remove those distractions, because those distractions that keep us at our current realm, they're energy suckers and we're not aware of them. This can be dynamics with people. Like even if you say, oh, I'm going to remove that one person in my life because they're toxic, if you don't remove your current dynamic with that person, you'll have it with another one. You'll remove them and then you'll have somebody else and you project the same thing onto them, and then you're back at it again, and then it feels so hard. So understanding that yes, it's gonna be easy, you have to remove those distractions, and that's the biggest misunderstanding here, is that the change from where you are right now to where you want to be, the shift in itself is what is really hard. That is what's gonna take a lot of your energy, and that is also something that you will have to do even despite not feeling like it. This can be dreadful because your mind is telling you your current realm is the right world, this is where you want to be, and everything that gets you out of that will be dreadful. I've said it in videos before, like imagine you have like this field of corn, and then for years you've created this path and you've gone down this path all your life, and you recognize the more you go down this path, this is not the path I want to go on. This is not in alignment with who I want to be. And so you recognize, okay, actually I need to go that direction. But in order to get to that direction, I need to shift, and I need to go through that cornfield, meaning I have to create a pathway first. This pathway has been created for years. Now, like the corns are all like down, you can walk on it. It's really easy, but the new path doesn't exist yet. And building that path, going down it, like really putting all that stuff down or walking on top of it as like your first move, or like going in between of it, that's gonna be hard. Another analogy that I really like in this is that jet planes need 40 or 60%, I'm not sure anymore, of their entire fuel just to start. And that's the same thing. So you have to be aware that switching is going to be hard. Switching can be very draining, and I found great ways to actually minimize this, because most people say, I'm gonna do this, and they put their willpower behind it, and what happens, they do it for a week and then they give up. I've had people tell me, oh, I'm gonna start working out tomorrow and I'm gonna tell you about it, and like if I can't do it for 30 days, then I'm gonna do this and this and this. And they didn't even do the first day. And I knew they were not going to, because I know if you haven't been doing this for the last 30 days, you're not going to be able to do it tomorrow. That's too big of a shift. That's not who you are. If you live in this current realm and you have this net on top of you and it has stones everywhere, how long do you think you're going to make it if you say, oh, now I'm going to just like stand up and then I'm going to go to the next room? It's not gonna happen. It's just too hard. It's just too much willpower that is necessary, and willpower is not a solution. Willpower will not last. You have to understand your current realm is keeping your energy like at a certain level. Let's call it at a level 10. This is the energy you have right now. Sustaining to be in the new room will take an energy level of 15. That's something to begin with. So first off, like even if you could make it, you could not sustain it. But actually getting from room A to room B, and room B being where you want to be, or when you're in the cornfield and you're here and you want to go there, actually changing that direction, building that pathway, or going to the other room, that will take 30 points of energy that you do not have. So if you put it all on your plate and you expect this of yourself when you have not been anywhere else but at this energy level, you'll not be able to. And that's why I think 95% of all people are not able to fulfill their dreams. But I've been there and I've found ways to get there if you're really being honest with yourself of where you're at and you don't put too much on your plate. That's why diets don't work, because every time you restrict yourself, what you restrict persists and it will stay with you and it will be hard. You have to become a person who can do these things, and you have to do it step by step. So all of my clients know that working with me actually seems slow in the beginning, but only because it's slow, it actually works, because those are little shifts, marginal shifts that you can do on a daily basis that change your belief system. They change who you are while removing those distractions step by step. And then you don't feel like you have to get up from this net and go to the other room. You just change little things. First off, you make the net a little bit lighter. You remove stones here and there, and you do it in such a way that you're not even aware of it, because it's just like a little thing. It's like, when you say, let's start saving. Let's get in touch and let's get used to saving. What do people actually say that are really able to save hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions? They say, start with $5. Start putting $5 to the side every other week. Once you get used to this, then you can build on this. Like, remember, if you want to improve your life and you say, my life right now is 95% negative and then they're 5% positive, or even less than that. Maybe you like your coffee in the morning, or maybe you're like your partner or your friends, but you feel your life is just completely different than what you want it to be, and it just sucks. Like, you're not going to improve this life by focusing on how much your life sucks, or by saying, how can I change the situation that is like so negative, in a way of, I'm going to focus on the negative part and try to beat it. That's not what's going to work. What's going to work is to focus on those 5% that are actually already working and expanding them. So you focus on that coffee in the morning, you focus on your friends, you focus on that emotion that you have when you're with them, the positive aspect of this. Because let's say you're an energy level of 10, and when you're with your friends and your coffee or like whatever it is that really excites you, even like a tiny bit, you're like at an 11, and everything else is like at a 9, 10, and this is at 11. Then focusing on that 11 and making that 11 that is maybe only 5% of your life, making that 10%. So you say, oh, I'm gonna actually focus on having more time for myself, having like a nice dinner with friends. Improving those aspects will help you to get to a bigger level. But why am I telling you this when today we're talking about how to stay super focused on improving your life? Well, it's because you have to understand this concept. This concept is a law that works all the time, and you have to really focus on that if you want to change something. So if you say, I want to improve my life, and you set goals, it's really about thinking about the things that actually make you feel proud of yourself. Like, I really like pride at this moment because I want to be proud of myself that I did this. And working with pride is an amazing tool in this aspect, because I remember like once I'm able to finish a task that I wanted to do, afterwards I jump up and down and I say yes. And I really, really hone in on this because I want to feel this emotion as much as possible. I want to lean into this emotion. This will be the emotion that will help me to do the next thing even easier. So when I started this channel, and I've told this story a couple of times, that, I woke up on Sundays. I used to do my videos on Sunday while I was working my 60 hours at work, and I knew this is not where I wanted to go, and I knew I needed like to add this layer. I didn't know where it was going to go, but I knew that I needed this in order to improve my life. And I remember that I had decided that I want to become that person. I want to be a person who does this for her. I wanted to be that person, and I had decided I want to become that. But, this is what I had decided on a conscious level. Subconsciously, I wasn't there yet. So what happened, I woke up on Sundays, and the thought of just doing my hair, like washing my hair, like blow drying it, putting a camera there, like talking, it was so dreadful. It was so hard. And like this happens over and over again. You'll see this when it's about time for you to actually change your job and it seems difficult. You'll see how you'll sit in front of this application and writing it will feel tedious. It will be so much hard work, but it is that much hard work because we're actually like using those 40 or 60% of fuel that you need for the start. We need that extra energy to move and create this new pathway. And we need the energy to get up from our current situation where we are with this net and like the stones that are so heavy that keep us at this current realm to get to the next step. So that is just a general understanding and really the strategy that got me to become that person who is super focused on their life. And just a side note here, it doesn't feel like this to me. Like I don't feel right now that I'm super focused on improving my life. I still have moments where I actually struggle and I say, oh, Wenzes, you should be doing more. But I know, if I'm really being honest with myself, how much more I've improved in this area, how much more focused I am on my life. And, as I said, at the core, I'll stay a hedonist. At the core, I love to be a laid back person. I don't want to do and work so much that I make millions, when that means I have to work really, really hard. Like I want to really find a balance, and I want to live a life that is just easy and a life that is calm. So ask me in a couple of years how I feel about this, but I don't really think it's going to change, because like I see now with everything going on, I change more and more into the person who I want to be. So I understand all of those distractions, all of those things and tasks that I thought I had to do, they kind of like fall off. They fall off if you follow the strategy of, doing the things that actually bring you the most joy and the thing that actually excites you, knowing that it's gonna take work in the beginning. We're gonna get a little bit more in detail on this, but I want you to understand that it will get easier because you become more and more of like who you want to be and what you like to do, and you try out different things and you understand, oh, this is actually the most me. And when you're completely in alignment, which is, a fantasy, like nobody is like completely in alignment or enlightened. We're just leaning towards it. But the more you do that, the more it's just a flow and it's play and you want to do these things. I actually am more active than I used to be. I really am that, I get up and I get so much more done but it feels like play. It feels like excitement. It has nothing to do with the way I felt when I was working those 60 hours a week for a paycheck and doing something that was not in alignment to me. And when I was forcing myself to do these things because I thought there is no other way. But there is another way. There is a way where you can figure out who you want to be, how to improve your life in a way that actually makes you believe that this is who you are. So this is the most important thing. We have to make ourselves believe that we really are that person. Once you have that anchored in, everything else just takes time. And knowing that in the beginning it's gonna be difficult. So just because something is tedious or something is hard for you, that's not necessarily not what you have to do. Like even when I did my other job, like my last job before I quit it, that thing was actually really hard for me in the beginning, and it was more work and it wasn't like exactly what I wanted. But I knew that there was so much behind it. Like through that job, I learned discipline. I learned to be around motivated people. It gave me so much, and I knew that I needed to take on that challenge. So, but now let's talk about how do you become a person who actually believes that you deserve to be that, and how to make that shift so you actually stick with it. So the first thing is you have to set goals. If you don't set goals, you will not make them. And understand that those goals will be something that sounds like, oh, I've just made it up. I just listened to my intuition, because you'll have those goals and then you start doing them and then they feel draining and you give up. Like that's just a normal process. And that's why it's really important to understand, okay, let me just prove to myself that I can create this world. So it's not so much about finding the perfect thing and the perfect world for you, and that thing will keep you focused. It's about understanding that you do have the power to create the world you set out to. Because once you do this, once you say, I want to prove to myself that if I want to do this, I can do this. And the process of becoming that person and doing the things that are necessary, that process will help you to figure out even more who you are. And that process will also help you to believe more what you feel inside. That will make you feel you can do anything. And once you feel like you can do anything, you'll choose the things that feel most natural to you, because then you lose fear. Every time my life improved in some kind of capacity, I kind of laid back. I understood, oh, I actually don't have to do this. I can actually do more and more of what I just want. And then I understood how many things I was putting on my plate I actually didn't have to do, but I thought I had to do. And we're oblivious to this. So how do we become this? So as I said, you have to actually have goals and understand that just because you don't have the perfect setting or that perfect thing that you want, that does not mean that it will not come. Rather, go for something that is better than your current situation. That is the goal, and prove to yourself that you can do that. And from there, you go to the next step. It's like you climb up a mountain, and once you climb up this mountain, you have a such better view, you have that much more energy, and you can go to the next step. So really set out those goals. You can actually use the 5 pillars to the EPIC Life Masterclass for this. If you don't know the 5 pillars, you can sign up below. There's a link, so I'll send you an overview of this and you can sign up to the newsletter. But in the end, it's just physical energy management, relationship management, your wealth management, your vocation, and your priority management. If you set goals in those 5 pillars and you say, I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna have little tasks that'll make me become a person who's more aware of this. And you do not overestimate yourself. That is the thing that so many people do wrong if it's about staying focused. They overestimate how far they are on their journey. And because they overestimate themselves, they don't want to admit to themselves that they actually have to start here. So if you say to yourself, I actually, I want to be a writer, and I am a writer, and I normally write 30 pages a week, and I cannot start now with writing half a paragraph a week. What is that? That's not enough. And then I talk to you and I ask you, well, how much were you able to do in the last months? And you're really being honest with yourself. And you said, well, actually, I am able to do 30, but I wasn't really able to do that now. I just didn't do it. That is the reality. Don't mistake the fantasy of who you are with the person that you actually are. So look around where your life is and what you've been able to do. If you haven't been working out for the last 4 weeks, don't set goals about going to the gym every day. You might keep it up, even if you have this strong willpower, you keep it up for 3 weeks and it will be not in alignment with who you are. It will be too much of a shift and it will always go against the grain and you'll be fighting yourself. That doesn't work. So you have to be honest with yourself and you have to set those goals and understand no matter how small they are going to be difficult. Like that thing will not be nice. This is not supposed to feel nice because the change is what is hard. You need 21 days to change your habits, 90 days to change your lifestyle. So this is something that you have to do, and understand that it's not the goal to feel great about it. You will feel great after those 90 days. You'll feel great after those 21 days. And even easier, and this is how I did it, and that's why it worked so well for me, is I didn't even put that pressure on myself. I just said, let me do the smallest amount I can think of that I can add to my plate so I don't even feel it. Like that's the exact same tactic everybody tells you when it comes to saving money and being really successful in this area. Like really start small. It's not about saying, oh, I'm gonna save $1,000 this month and then everything is going to be great. If you've always been spending all of your money, you're not gonna be able to start like saving $1,000 each month just like that. That's why so many people who win the lottery lose it so quickly, because they have not become a saver yet. They're still the person who spends all of their money, and that doesn't change with having more money. And that's the same thing with everything in life. That's just how our mind works. So if you want to be laser focused on improving your life, it's really necessary that you admit to yourself that you're at the starting point. That's what I had to do, and I know it's an ego hit, a big one. But once you're able to do this and you set those tiny little goals for yourself, but you commit to actually doing them, and once you're at a point where you say, oh, I'm really good at this, I'm gonna add something to the plate. You know, if you say, I'm really bad at social life, but I actually wanna have more friends that are in alignment with me, and you say, well, okay, I'm gonna put on my plate in my calendar that once a week I'm gonna meet a friend, and it's so hard. Okay, let's start with once every other week. And once you're able to do this, then you switch it up, and then it becomes easier, and at some point, it really isn't draining. Like I remember when I started this process, like even that, it felt so difficult. Like I thought, oh, so now I have to call up a friend, and then I have to get ready and go outside, and then we have to eat. And that was like even like tedious to me. I didn't have the energy. And this is not how we're supposed to feel. Like this is not natural. And this is actually how most people feel it. So if you feel like this, don't feel bad about it. As I said, this is actually normality, but I have found that you can change it. And you know, like now listening to so many people, they've been saying it over and over again, but we don't believe it. But you have to commit to yourself to becoming a person who does these things. Like when I started this channel, it wasn't my goal to be a YouTuber who's successful and can live off of this. I thought like, okay, maybe in 10 years I can do something out of this. What I knew though is that I want to be a person who commits to doing this. I want to do this because then I feel good about myself. Then I feel proud. And the more you lean into this, the easier it gets. So this is the one main thing I want you to understand. You become laser focused because from the outside, it really looks like you're only doing the things that keep you moving forward. Before that, I came home, I watched television shows, I just like didn't do anything that got my life moving forward. I just went to work and I stayed in the hamster wheel. And getting out of that really takes energy. So be honest with yourself and make, please, small steps and become a person who is like this. Don't make it a goal to reach those goals necessarily. The biggest goal is that you move forward. As I said, if you want to have some more ideas on this, like click on the link below where you can get the email with all like the 5 pillars and what they consist of, so you have an idea. If you want to dive even deeper on this topic, check out the video on how to stop projecting, because this actually has a lot to do with it. And like always, guys, I wish you a wonderful day, a great week, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.